President Joe Biden, who for days has been battling COVID, announced Sunday he's ending his re-election bid. The move sent political shockwaves throughout the nation's capital as Biden also endorsed his Vice President Kamala Harris to become the Democratic Party nominee. CBS's Skylar Henry reports from Washington with reactions and what happens next.
This morning, Vice President Kamala Harris is picking up support, just hours after President Biden announced he will no longer seek re-election. The president tweeted, "It is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term," adding his endorsement of Harris and urging the party to come together to beat former President Donald Trump.
With Joe Biden as the heart and soul of our party and Kamala Harris coming out swinging against this ticket, we've got the recipe for victory.
Harris says it is her intention to earn and win the nomination.
Are you ready to make your voices heard?
She's picked up endorsements from multiple labor organizations and party heavyweights like the Clintons. Vice President Harris is piling up support from members of Congress. The DNC says it will soon implement a framework to select a nominee.
The process needs to be open to anyone else who thinks they can make a strong case that they can prevail in the battleground states, and she'll be the stronger for the contest.
Last night, Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson called on Biden to resign the presidency after bashing plans to replace him.
It would be wrong and I think unlawful in accordance to some of these states' rules for a handful of people to go in a back room and switch it out because they don't like the candidate any longer.
President Biden has been isolating at his Delaware home after testing positive for COVID-19. He'll address the nation later this week. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Washington.
Former President Donald Trump told CBS News the announcement of Biden's withdrawal came as a shock, and he and his campaign have already begun attacks against Harris, tying her to the president's record. Meanwhile, there are several top Democrats who have not yet endorsed Harris, including former President Barack Obama. A person familiar with the matter tells CBS News he plans to wait until the nominee is official, as he did in 2020. You just heard House Speaker Mike Johnson react to Biden's decision. Meanwhile, other Louisiana lawmakers are reacting to the news. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise posted to his page on X saying, quote, "Democratic Party bosses just proved that they have absolutely no respect for their own voters. After lecturing others about democracy, they just forced Joe Biden off the ticket, trashing the primary choice of 14 million of their own voters. It is not just Biden-Harris who have been polling so poorly. It's their entire administration's failed extreme agenda that is crushing hardworking families, causing record inflation, the worst border crisis in our lifetime, and chaos around the world," end quote. Senator Bill Cassidy also releasing a statement Sunday. He says, quote, "I pointed out for 2 years that President Biden's mental capacity has been declining. In that time, he's thrown the country, the economy, and the Democratic Party into total disarray. This decision is overdue," end quote. Congressman Troy Carter responded to the news saying, quote, "President Joe Biden's legacy stands as a testament to his unparalleled commitment to our nation. Today, we honor the substantial contributions of the 46th President of the United States. His decision to pass the torch to Vice President Kamala Harris is an amazingly selfless act that resonates deeply with the American people," end quote. And Governor Jeff Landry also posted to X saying, quote, "It matters not whether President Biden seeks re-election. President Trump is running to correct the failed policies of the left, championed by every replacement nominee. The decay of the middle class, the rise in inflation, the crime, the violence, the open border, and so much more. Each of these policies have failed our nation and are owned by any replacement Democrat nominee," end quote. President Joe Biden dropping out of the presidential race has sparked a wave of speculation and discussion about what the future of the race will look like. News 10's Kylie Price gives us insight from a political science expert at LSU.
I think what we were planning on expecting to see was Trump versus Biden again. The fact that there is some drama and some uncertainty into who the Democratic nominee is going to be, I think that is going to get a lot more attention.
Nearly 1 week after former President Trump's assassination attempt, the 46th President of the United States, Joe Biden, has dropped out of the race. In return, he is endorsing his current Vice President Kamala Harris to run in his spot.
Chose right after he indicated he was going to be leaving the race, he chose to endorse his vice president for the nomination. So I think this gives Kamala Harris a huge leg up going into this process, whatever it looks like, for choosing the nominee.
He says while the announcement creates some disarray for members of the Democratic Party, he says Harris has an advantage as being a younger candidate than Donald Trump.
This is a candidate who does not have the age problem, as a lot of people view Biden as having. In many ways, it flips the tables on the Republicans. They are the ones now nominating someone who is 78 years old.
On the other hand, he says the Republican Party is doing well in the polls for who would become the next president of the United States. He says some key components will be to focus on Joe Biden's remainder on his term.
Their strategy going forward is they're going to be asking questions such as, if Joe Biden can't run for president, does he have the mental capacity? Does he have what it takes? Is his health good enough to continue being president? His term does not end until January 20th of 2025.
He says the 2024 election will have a major effect on voters for both parties.
This is going to have an effect on turnout, I think, in participation. I think one of the things that campaigns often do is that they focus attention on issues and on the people in campaign. We're living in a very historic time, and it's going to be interesting to see how these things play out.
That was Kai Price reporting. The Democratic National Convention will happen in Chicago next month. Back here at home in Lafayette, the sheriff's office needs your help finding this 14-year-old girl who was last seen on Friday. Kimberly Barahino was last seen near Township Lane. She was wearing a black shirt and black pants. Authorities say she has black hair and brown eyes. If you see her or have any information on her whereabouts, contact the Lafayette Parish Sheriff's Office. In St. Landry Parish, Opelousas police are asking for your help finding this missing man. According to police, Vincent Stearman has been missing for a couple of days. He was last seen on LaRosse Street. If you see him or know where he is, contact Opelousas police. Turning now to state news, an LSU football player was arrested after being accused of video voyeurism. 19-year-old Javian Toviano was booked into the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison. According to an affidavit, a deputy met with the victim on July 8th after she found 2 videos of the two engaging in sexual activity on Toviano's iPad. She told the deputy that she did not consent to being recorded. During an interview, Toviano admitted to using a hidden camera clock to record without the victim's consent. Arrest records show he was released from jail on a $10,000 bond. A spokesperson for LSU Athletics says Toviano is suspended from all team activities. State officials are appealing a federal court decision requiring farm workers at Angola be kept safe during the extreme heat, while also committing to a few elements of the order. Now, the judge's order only applies when temperatures are 88 degrees or higher. Some conditions the state is following include providing tents for shade and ensuring inmates get at least 5-minute breaks when temperatures are high. It required the state to create more specific policies to keep inmates safe from heat-related health threats, including specific changes to the farm line and updates to policies that affect workers or inmates statewide. A trial date has been set for later this year. Drivers in Lafayette should be aware of a road closure beginning today. This will impact one area of the city. The 500 block of Foreman Drive will be closed to all traffic today as part of the ongoing construction of the new Lafayette High School. Officials say the contractor will be installing new drainage infrastructure under the roadway. Detour routes will be provided during this time and local access will be maintained. This closure is expected to continue until Friday. In St. Martin Parish, Pat's Fisherman's Wharf is finally reopening today after it was damaged by a tornado in May. 2 months ago, the tornado caused major damage to the restaurant. The porch outside of the restaurant was completely blown away by the storms, as well as the roof and bars in the club. Despite all the challenges he and his staff has faced, Jude Huval says he is excited to see all of his valued customers' faces once again.
There's people, they've been coming here, and their parents and grandparents have been coming here for a long time. Like I said, 75 years we've been at it. When we open up, we're going to have some fresh seafood, for Acadiana. We're going to have our live music rolling in the club. Laissez les bon temps rouler. We're going to be hitting it again.
Huval says Pat's will resume normal operations today. In a post on the restaurant's Facebook page, due to high demand, they are asking customers to pardon their progress. You're taking a live look at the intersection of I-10 and Ambassador Caffrey. There are no traffic incidents in Acadiana to report at this time. It's now 4:43 on your Monday morning.